Happy Tuesday, everybody. June 3rd, 2014. Welcome aboard. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. We are streaming live. Visit my website, drglidden.com, to figure out how to watch us. Check it out, drglidden.com. Streaming live through the internet. Welcome aboard. Today is Tuesday, June 3rd. 2014. I reference Medscape quite a bit because it's an interesting source for information. This is MD centrist information. It gives you a little window into the way that the MDs think. Death due to unnatural, quote-unquote, causes more common in diabetes. This from Medscape Medical News, published June 2nd, 2014. That's yesterday. Unnatural deaths are more common among people with diabetes, at least in Sweden, according to the results of a new study. The findings represent the first comprehensive national epidemiologic study of unnatural death in diabetes and were published online May 21st in Diabetes Care by Roger T. Webb, Ph.D. The researchers found increased risks for death from unnatural causes, including suicide, accidents, and homicides among people with both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. They also showed that the fatalities occurred at a younger age among diabetic patients than in the general population. The investigators examined data for a total of 252,000 individuals in the Swedish National Diabetes Register. They were 55% male with a mean age of 69 years of age. Each person with diabetes was compared with 5 matched people from the general Swedish population of 1,260,000 people. The relative risk for suicide was 3.36 amongst the diabetics, and for all type of accidents, about 2.0. Marked elevations were seen among diabetic patients for deliberate self-poisoning, 5%, accidental poisoning, 4%, transportation accidents, 4%, while the number and rate of homicides was small. The risk was still statistically significantly higher than those higher among those with diabetes. These strong associations persisted after further adjustment for mental illness and educational levels, the researchers noted. So again, it's an out-of-control train, right? This is what happens when you pour into a living, breathing, animate, physical body synthetic man-made drugs, the intention of which are not to fix the problem. Your medical doctor is not trained how to fix your health condition. They're trained to manage your symptoms with drugs. They're trained to manage your symptoms with drugs because they don't believe that your body can fix itself. They're not trained that your body can fix itself because they don't believe in the presence of the spiritual, intelligent force inside the body, because nobody has discovered that. Nobody has ever weighed the soul, right, or seen it with an ultrasound or a CT scan. So therefore, to the MD, it doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. Now, every holistic medical field in the world believes in the presence of an intelligent, spiritual, vital force that animates the human body and which brings intelligence to bear on all the operative functions of the human body. All of the stuff that's happening in your body right now automatically, everything that happens in your body, all of the biochemical processes, all of the cellular reactions, everything is guided by something. It's got to be guided by something. I mean, how does the insulin know to stick to the cell wall? How does that happen? Well, how does it know? Well, how does it know? Well, I'll tell you how it knows. It knows by the intelligence imbued in it by your spiritual body. Your body has intelligence. Your body is so smart, right? It grew itself all by itself from a single-celled organism into you, right? Your MD doesn't believe this, however. Your MD thinks it's all just some type of, they've never been able to explain why. Quite frankly, they don't even want you to ask the question. So, when into an intricate biochemical living system filled with checks and balances and millions, if not billions, if not trillions of biochemical reactions happening all of the time. You throw man-made synthetic drugs, guess what's going to happen? You're going to gum up the works, and you're going to have trickle-down effects everywhere else in the body. This is a very difficult statistic to secure, and these Swedish researchers, it was interesting to me that they actually made the connection here, but I've been saying this for years, that I am convinced that there is a gigantic relationship between automobile accidents and pharmaceutical medication dosing. I'm convinced. And if you don't think I'm correct, well, here's what I want you to do. Stop taking all of your prescription medications for a year, and then take a prescription medication and see how it makes you feel. Or if you haven't taken any prescription medications, take a prescription medication and see how it makes you feel. I mean, even if it's just an antibiotic, it messes with the way that you think. It messes with the way that you feel. Because everything in the body is connected. And when you throw a stone into the east end of the pond, the ripples eventually make it over to the west end of the pond, right? Everything is affected. But with MD-directed pharmaceutical centrist reductionistic medicine, they don't care about the ripple effects. They don't care about the side effects. They don't care about the net negative effects that their therapeutics engender. Because remember, right, it's not your MD's job to take care of your health. It's your MD's job to manage your symptoms. That's it. So the MD doesn't care that the high blood pressure medication gives you nightmares. The MD doesn't care that the heartburn medication makes you see double. The MD doesn't care that the pain medication that you're taking gives you suicidal ideation. They don't care. They don't care. And you go to them anyway. We genuflect at their altar anyway. How long is it going to take for us to stop genuflecting at the altar of a false god? And by God, I mean medical professional. Honest to God, the only people selling snake oil in the United States have MD after their name. It's true. I mean, if it weren't true, it wouldn't be true. But it's true. Prescription medications are MD-directed medical therapeutics are the leading cause of death. Into that mix are prescription medications, correctly prescribed, prescription medications incorrectly prescribed, medical screw-ups, secondary infections that people get when they go to the hospital, things like that. It's a great big smorgasbord of pain that the MDs dole out because their therapeutics are inconsistent with what really happens inside the human body. They're inconsistent. And I'm the only one that's saying this. Dr. Wallach says it tangentially. The reason that you should fire your medical doctor is not because they're bad people, not because they have low IQs, not because they're idiotic, not because they're sadistic, but because they are completely enrolled in a methodology which doesn't work. They're like colorblind art critics who are criticizing the art. Or colorblind artists, right? Or colorblind photographers. I mean, if you hired a colorblind photographer to come and photograph your wedding, you might be a little upset with the results. I mean, you're going to get results, but the results are going to be less than satisfying because they're missing a great deal of information that they don't even know that they're missing, and this is why the MDs are the most dangerous profession in the world. And, it doesn't hurt or doesn't help the situation that their hubris is legendary, because the MD will never, ever, ever, ever question the veracity of their own therapeutics. They won't. They won't question it because they think they're gods. MD stands for medical deity. They're not going to question their failures. I mean, for goodness sake, they don't even know how to fix heartburn, right? They can't cure heartburn. They can manage it with a little purple pill. To the profession that doesn't even know how to cure heartburn, we're given $600 billion to come up with a cure for cancer. Well, I wonder why we haven't come up with a cure for cancer. Because they're the wrong dog for the hunt. We've taken the wrong people into our confidence. Your MD's good for sewing things up. Your MD's good for setting a broken bone. Your MD's good for killing the amoeba, that you got when you visited Mexico. That's about it. For high blood pressure, for fibromyalgia, for birth defects, for autism, for type 2 diabetes, for type 1 diabetes, for arthritis, for congestive heart failure, for an enlarged heart, for cardiomyopathy, heart attacks, for heart attacks in general, for rheumatoid arthritis, for osteoarthritis, for osteoporosis, for osteopenia, for eczema, seborrhea, psoriasis, failure to thrive, infertility, migraine headaches. Your MD has nothing for you. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Other than symptom-suppressive, man-made, synthetic, expensive drugs, the intention of which are not to cure a darn thing, simply to manage your symptoms. And while they manage the symptoms, they screw everything else up. So you've got diabetics in Sweden now that are killing themselves at a statistically significantly higher rate than the general population. Why is this? Because when you throw into the intricate system of the human body, the divinely imbued system of the human body, man-made synthetic drugs, you're going to upset the apple cart all of the time. But because the MDs monopolize the medical marketplace, because they are the kings of this domain, they get to upset the apple cart all the time, and nothing happens to them. There are no consequences. Their patients die. They don't go to jail. Their patients commit suicide. There's no professional repercussions. No wrists are slapped. Nobody gets penalized. Nobody gets sent to jail. There are no consequences, and so it's a runaway train. For goodness sake, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. The MDs are so far outside of the picture in their ability to help us with chronic disease, we are on our own. That's why longevity is so important. Because what we bring to the table are science-based, clinically verified therapeutics, the intention of which are, in fact, to support and promote your body's ability to fix itself. Give me a call, why don't you, and let's talk about it. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, coming at you live, streaming live via the internet. Check us out at drglidden.com, drglidden.com. Now, we're going to talk right now for the next 3 or 4 minutes about a particular drug. First, I'm going to tell you the side effects, and then I want you to try to guess which drug it is. You ready? Short-term side effects include high blood glucose levels, that's high blood sugar, mineralocorticoid effects such as fluid retention, adrenal insufficiency, insomnia, euphoria, mania, depression, anxiety, Cushing syndrome, dementia, depression, osteoporosis, glaucoma, and cataracts, difficulty controlling emotion, difficulty in maintaining a train of thought, weight gain, suppressed immune system, facial swelling, severe facial swelling, depression, mania, psychosis, fatigue or weakness, mental confusion, memory and attention dysfunction, blurred vision, abdominal pain, peptic ulcer, painful hips or shoulders, osteoporosis, stretch marks, osteonecrosis, insomnia, severe joint pain, cataracts or glaucoma, anxiety, black stool, stomach pain or bloating, severe swelling, mouth sores, avascular necrosis, hepatic steatosis, nervousness, acne, skin rash, appetite, hyperactivity, increased thirst, frequent urination, diarrhea, painful leg cramps, sensitive teeth. Suppression from this drug, adrenal suppression, will begin to occur if this drug is taken for longer than 7 days. Adrenal suppression, suppression of your adrenal glands, will occur if this drug is taken for longer than 7 days. Eventually, this may cause the body to temporarily lose the ability to manufacture cortisol, which is an essential part of the fire department of your body, which results then in a dependence on this drug. For this reason, this drug should not be abruptly stopped if taken for more than 7 days. Instead, the dosage should be gradually reduced. The weaning process may be over a few days, a few weeks, or a few months, depending on how much of it you take. Isn't that just great? Boy, I'm going to go right out there and get me a whole bushel and a peck of this stuff. Of course, I'm talking about prednisone. Prednisone is the wonder drug of the MDs. Prednisone is the first, second, and third thing that MDs throw at everything. Prednisone, it is an anti-inflammatory medication. It is an anti-inflammatory medication. Once it is converted into the active form called prednisolone via the liver, MDs use it to damp down inflammation. Now, a colleague of mine, Jarmel, who lives here in Chicago, who calls in from time to time, he's a longevity distributor. He went to a medical conference about a month ago, and the buzz at the medical conference was that everything is caused by inflammation. Right? It's a breakthrough. Medical science has finally discovered that every chronic disease has its roots in inflammation. But they're absolutely clueless as to what causes the inflammation. And so the new, standard for therapy now is going to be different anti-inflammatory medications. Which is like trying to put the fire out without paying any attention to what started the fire. And if you don't pay any attention to what started the fire, it's going to start again. And the stuff that you throw on the fire is going to have negative impacts on the house, right? You never been to a house that's, one room of the house burns down or the garage burns down, heaven forbid, and then the firemen show up. And, it's one wall was in flames and a little bit of the roof, but the entire garage is now demolished because of all of the water that the firemen used to put out the fire. The water put the fire out, but it had deleterious effects on the rest of the house. Well, the prednisone will put the fire out, but it has deleterious effects on the rest of the body. And yet the MDs dole this stuff out like candy. I've always said that if you took antibiotics and prednisone away from MDs, they'd be running around in circles not knowing what to do. And this should scare the bejeebers out of you. Because, again, remember, your medical doctor may be the nicest human being that God ever created, but they are not trained in how to help your body fix itself. They're only trained in how to suppress your symptoms, and they don't give a crap about the side effects that their therapeutics engender. They do not care. It's not their job to make you healthier. It's their job to suppress your symptoms immediately. It's their job to, suppress the blood pressure right now. It's their job to end the pain right now. It's their job to normalize blood sugars right now. They do not care about the long-term effects of their therapeutics, which is why they are the most dangerous people on the planet. Donna from North Carolina is up next. Stick around. Today is the 3rd day of June 2014. I am Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. And we're back live, June 3rd, 2014. Catch the live stream, drglidden.com. Phones are lit up like a Christmas tree. North Carolina's first. Donna is up. I think she has a question about prednisone. How about that? Hey, Donna, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Thank you so much for taking my call. This is exciting. My first time on radio ever.
Well, you go, girl.
And thank you for letting me relive all those side effects from prednisone. I've been living them for 5 years.
How long have you been taking it?
5 years.
Yeah, what'd they give it to you for?
Well, I woke up one morning and fell on my face. My joints were all swollen and I couldn't walk. So I was in a wheelchair.
Oh, I hate it when that happens. That just happened all of a sudden overnight?
Yep. And then they kept doing MRIs and X-rays, and they thought at 58 years old I was doing calisthenics from one end of the house to the other, and that I had a trampoline in the middle of my living room. So they were doing X-rays, and are you sure you didn't fall? Are you sure you didn't? And then one day I woke up and it was in my nose. My nose was all swelled up, and I blew holes in both my eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they still weren't able to give you a working diagnosis, right?
No, they did everything. My blood pressure's perfect. My cholesterol's perfect. My sugar's perfect. But my inflammation level was up. My cortisol was up, and that was the only thing. I tested negative for lupus, negative for RA, negative for gout, negative for Lyme disease. And because it was in my face and my nose was so big and I couldn't see or breathe, and I was bleeding out my eyes, they gave me the prednisone.
Well, look, I mean, let's keep it all in perspective, right? It's not the drug, it's how it's used. It's not the gun, it's how it's used. You can use a drug appropriately to help the body heal itself, and you can use a drug inappropriately. For 3, 4, 5 days, prednisone has utility and can be very helpful if it's used in addition to a smart, effective, science-based, clinically verified therapeutic, the intention of which is to actually help your body get on the other side of the problem, right? But that's not what the MDs do, and quite frankly, so are you still paying medical insurance premiums?
Yeah. Well,
doesn't that just get your goat? I mean, doesn't that just infuriate you?
Well, actually, prior to that, I didn't have insurance. I didn't need it. I was healthy. I've been healthy all my life and self-employed.
Yeah.
That put me out of work. It put me out of everything. So I ended up on Medicaid. But every time they cut down my prednisone, I keep trying to cut it down. But when I cut it down, all those joints flare up and I blow an eye again, or it's in my nose, or it's in my lungs, or my heart.
Yeah, okay, so all right, so I'm glad you called. How'd you find out about us anyway?
Just from this crazy guy named Darren Moy.
Darren Moy. Darren Moy's going to change the world. He really is. Darren Moy he's talking to everybody in the world about what we do. He's a big cheerleader for us. We love Darren Moy, and he's making a big impact. He's only been with us for, I don't even know how long, maybe 6 months. But, all right, so here's the deal, okay? Now, I don't know, have you ever had a problem with mold in your house? You ever lived in a house where there's been mold?
Not that I'm aware of. My house is pretty new, and I keep them up.
All right, good. So I'm not saying that mold has anything to do here, but I'm using it as a metaphor, right? If I had a leak in my basement, and every time it rained, water got into my basement, eventually there would be mold in my basement because that's how it happens. First you get water intrusion, and then something gets soaking wet, and then mold gets a place to live and breed and feed and breed and grow, and now you have a mold problem. So I go down into my basement one day and I see, oh, son of a gun, there's a mold problem. Well, if I'm an MD, what am I going to do? I'm just going to go get a paint bucket, and I'm going to paint over the mold. I'm not going to look to see where the water came in. I'm not going to try to fix the source of the leak. I'm not going to try to fix the source of the mold. I'm just going to paint over the mold so I don't see it or I don't smell it anymore. Eventually, right, it's only a matter of time until there's more mold in the house because I never fixed the leak, right? And it's going to rain all the time. So it's only a matter of time until the problem gets worse and worse and worse, and then I need more and more and more paint. And then the whole wall of the house collapses because I wasn't being prudent. So that's what's happening to you. The original inflammatory process that set this whole thing off is still at play. Your body is still in trouble, and so when you withdraw from the prednisone, it's back. Because it never left, right? The prednisone just suppressed the symptoms so you weren't aware of them anymore. It's kind of like cutting the check engine light. The little wire on the...
I gained 100 pounds in 5 years.
Yeah, that's a side effect of the prednisone, right?
Oh, it's horrible.
I know. It's horrible.
Help me get off it.
Well, look, I can help you. I can help you here, and it's going to be a lot easier than you think. But what I want to drive home here to the listening audience is that this is a very common situation. That the people that we've given our dollars to in the form of medical insurance payments every month, the people that we've given our trust to, the people that we put up on a social pedestal, the people that we trust to take care of us don't know how to do it. And their therapeutics are hurting us, and they're ineffective. And they can't even diagnose what's wrong with you. For goodness sake, you have strong and persistent symptoms for 5 years, and they don't know what the heck's going on. And they did every diagnostic test in the world, and they're still coming up blank. I would write a letter to the State Association of Medicine saying the doctors at my hospital are incompetent. I want an investigation.
4 doctors already.
You fired 4 doctors already, exactly.
Yeah, and said it right to them. You're fired. I'll find somebody that can figure this out.
Yeah, and what did they say when you said that?
They just shrugged their shoulders. I don't know what to do for you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
Thank
find
you.
somebody that can. I'm doing more research than they are.
Yeah, I know, and that's a problem, isn't it? You would think, right? You would think.
Yeah.
Honest to God, it's the only profession in the world where the members of the profession can fail and fail and fail and fail and fail and fail and fail, and they still get a paycheck.
Yes. Now, in the beginning of all of this, I have to say, I did have 2 tick bites.
Okay, so did you get a bullseye rash?
No, I didn't. And the Lyme tests that they do come back negative, so I went to an infectious disease guy.
Yeah, well, you should get Darren Moy to send you a webinar that I did on Lyme disease, because there's only one test that can definitively diagnose Lyme disease, and the Center for Disease Control outlawed its use. There's only one test that can definitively diagnose the presence of Lyme disease, and it's illegal to use it. And
okay, well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This infectious disease guy, I do have laryngitis. I don't normally sound this bad. I don't know where that came from. That's out of the blue, too. But he did this other test for the Lyme disease, and I came back with one marker, and he said in order to have it, you have to have 2.
Yeah, well, see, what I'm saying is that there's that was called a Western blot test. Was that right?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so part of that diagnostic array, part of the Western blot, it's like a fingerprint of Lyme disease. The Western blot part, the part of the Western blot test that shows Lyme disease, they can't test for anymore. It's illegal. So you got to watch the webinar that I did. Get Darren Moy to give you a link to the webinar that I did about this. It's fascinating.
I will.
This is a gigantic government conspiracy and cover-up. Lyme disease was a government-created disease. It started in the 1970s in Lyme, Connecticut, which is 9 miles away from a tick government research tick facility on Plum Island in Long Island Sound. We think they were experimenting with tick-borne illnesses, and one of the bugs got away, and it created a massive epidemic in the United States. And to cover their tracks, the Center for Disease Control made it illegal. The only test that can definitively test for Lyme disease would be illegal. Now, you can have been bitten by a Lyme tick today. You can have the tick in your hand. You can have the bullseye rash and all of the symptoms from Lyme disease, and you'll test negative on all of the tests.
Yeah.
You can also have been bitten by a Lyme tick 20 years ago, be completely symptom-free, go in and get the blood test, and it shows positive for Lyme disease. It is... you can't diagnose Lyme disease with conventional diagnostic therapeutics. Does it
sound like I have Lyme disease, or does it sound like they insist I've got RA?
No. Look. They're just throwing stuff to the wall to see what's going to stick, right?
And I said, well, if I have RA, then give me minocycline. So I made them put me on that.
Yeah, so you went on minocycline for how long?
I've been on it for... probably about 8 months now.
And have you gotten worse?
No, actually, the rash on my face goes away when I'm on it, and then when I stop taking it, the rash comes back.
Yeah, okay. So I don't think that was the right thing to do.
And I get a sore throat.
All right. So you have the Donna from North Carolina disease. That's what you have.
Oh, my God. It's horrible.
Yeah, okay. So, look, here's our basic message here, right?
Right.
Number one, your body, my body, everybody's body that's alive, our bodies know how to fix themselves. Our bodies want to fix themselves. And we are of the belief that the fundamental root of all chronic disease, whether there's an inflammatory process involved or not, the root of all chronic diseases are nutrient deficiencies. And that your bones and your ligaments and your tendons and your joints and your skin start to break down. Not because you have a bad gene, not because you have an infectious organism living inside your body, but because your body has run out of the raw materials that it needs to keep that part of your body healthy.
I call it the alien.
Well, look, you start to lose nutrients a little bit every day, 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 and then you wake up one morning and everything is broken. It's like the straws that broke the camel's back, right?
Yeah.
So the illness that afflicted you overnight, from my point of view, took probably 10 years to build up and generate. It's a little bit of nutrient deficiencies every day on top of consistent consumption of foods that are pro-inflammatory. So, I mean,
after the 2 tick bites, I was on, 4 weeks of antibiotics and then ended up with 6 months of chronic diarrhea. That was just prior to the waking up with the joint, and not being able to walk.
Oh, okay, so then that's what did it. So that was the final straw that broke the camel's back, the antibiotic stress to your body, because, antibiotics are good if you have an infection, but they're bad if you don't have an infection, and if you take an antibiotic inappropriately, you can really upset the metabolism of the human body and escalate the genesis of chronic inflammatory conditions, and that's what's happened to you, ostensibly. But
and I was organic. I've been organic for 15 years.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. I mean, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Apparently not.
It doesn't matter. I mean, that's one of the biggest myths in holistic medicine, that organic food is the cure for everything. It's not.
I know.
It's not.
I didn't know.
I know. You don't know. Nobody knows. It's not your fault. It's your doctor's fault. It's your doctor's fault. It's not your fault. I know this. Dr. Wallach knows this. My naturopathic colleagues know this, some of them anyway. This stuff is published. It's in the literature. We've been doing clinical experimentation with this stuff for decades, and your MD is blind to it because they had never been to a medical conference, a medical nutrition conference in their entire life.
Yeah.
But don't get me started. So listen, Donna from North Carolina, we're coming up against a hard break here. You stick with me. Tell me your body weight before we hit the break.
Oh, my God. Do I have to? Can I tell you after you hang up?
Tell me now.
300 now.
All right. You stick with me. I'll tell you what to do when we come back. Glad you called. Stick around, folks. More to come. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you. Tuesday, June 3rd. I'm getting ahead of myself. Tuesday, June 3rd, 2014. We are talking to Donna from North Carolina. All right, Donna, so here's the deal. Here's what I would do for the next 90 days in order to, get on the other side of this, okay? You ready?
Yeah, do you want me to tell you what I already have?
No, I don't care what you already have, because I'm going to tell you what to take. So you can adjust it appropriately, okay?
Hit me.
All right. Number 1, eliminate the 10 bad foods.
Done.
Good. Number 2, if you can afford it, 3 anti-aging healthy start packs a month and 4 bottles of selenium. 3 anti-aging healthy start packs and 4 bottles of selenium a month. That's it. That's all you need to do. That's it. 3 anti-aging healthy start packs. And 4 bottles of selenium a month. And Darren Moy can tell you how to dose that and, how to mix it and how to take it. But that's what I would do if I were you. Also, you want to get some licorice root tea. Licorice root tea. And see, have you ever had licorice root tea?
Yes.
Oh, you have. And you hate it?
I hate licorice.
Okay, so then get Tulsi, T like Thomas, U-L-S like Sam, I, Tulsi tea.
Okay.
And they make Tulsi tea in many different flavors. I want you to have 2 cups of Tulsi tea a day, okay? 2 cups of Tulsi tea a day. And I want you to educate yourself about ORAC, O-R-A-C, which is a measurement of antioxidants. Your antioxidant consumption goal a day should be 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants. 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants. You can do that with nutritional supplements. There's going to be some ORAC in the nutritional supplements that you're getting. You can get extra add-on nutritional supplements to meet that goal, or you can just adjust your diet appropriately. For instance, using curry powder, using cinnamon, switching to dark-skinned fruits, switching from white wine to red wine. Just making some simple substitutions using curry powder will dramatically increase the ORAC index in your life. Your goal needs to be 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day, and your diet needs to be high in fat. Your diet needs to be high in cholesterol. You need to become the cholesterol queen of North Carolina. And don't worry, fat does not make people fat. Prednisone and calories make people fat.
I was on Atkins for 6 months.
Yeah, well, I would have. So Atkins diet, and no bread, just a lot of meat, right?
It's meat in like salad, very low carb, but I didn't lose any weight.
Yeah, okay. So you're not going to lose weight until you get off the prednisone, but you're not going to be able to get off the prednisone until you support and promote the underlying function of your body so you can get on the other side of the internal inflammation. So once you've been on this program for 4 weeks, I would consult a pharmacist and get them to recommend a reduction schedule for the prednisone that takes place over 12 weeks. A reduction schedule for prednisone that takes place over 12 weeks. 12 weeks. Go to a pharmacist, get them to put you on a reduction schedule that takes place over 12 weeks while you're increasing your ORAC, eliminating the 10 bad foods, taking these nutritional supplements into your body every day.
That's about what I've been doing. I've been reducing it I've been reducing 1 milligram a week. And when I get down to anywhere between 11 and 17, I flare. Like right now, I'm without my left hand.
All right. Well, so that means it's not working, right?
Right.
So that program isn't working. And so why isn't it working? Because your body doesn't have the raw materials it needs in order to put the fires of inflammation out. Plus, you have all this trouble that you have to recover from because you've been on the prednisone for so long.
Yeah, and I've only been on the longevity for 2 weeks.
Okay, so this is why a diet that's high in cholesterol is very important, because all of the hormones that your body makes that the prednisone is inhibiting are made from cholesterol. So you have to eat lots and lots and lots of cholesterol, like 6 eggs a day, a stick of butter a day, a chicken with the skin, turkey with the skin. Go crazy for cholesterol. Darren Moy will help you to do that. But one more thing I want you to do, I want you to do this for 4 weeks. 2 boxes of root beer belly a month for 4 weeks. I want you to take 1 packet of root beer belly twice a day. 1 packet of root beer belly twice a day. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. Go crazy for cholesterol. Call me back in 3 weeks with a report. I will look forward to it. Appreciate your call. Robert in California is up next, folks. Stick around.